He is a writer and performer for The Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore. You may have seen him on MTV's Girl Code or MTV's Guy Code. He's been on Broad City. He's been on Girls. And I'm so excited to have him here. Please give it up for Jordan Carlos.
I grew up in suburban Texas, which is, that's okay. Some other Texans that are not afraid to say where they're from. Okay, cool. And it's for people that couldn't hack it in the big cities of Texas. So I was in the suburbs of Dallas, which is, hashtag too soon. Great. Okay, so I know. Well, it's the truth is where I'm from. Sorry, guys, to paint that. I'll say another city. All right, so anyway, that's where I'm from. And I grew up hanging out with a group of kids that was... They're bullies. They were big bullies, and I was like bully adjacent. I was like the I was like the equipment manager for the bullies. And basically, if you're a bully in Texas, you're like that's high ranking in the bully pantheon. That's like poof, you take no shit. We would kick any no offense, but a bully from Portland is like nothing, you know what I mean, to a bully from Texas. So anyway, there was this one kid, right, and he had scoliosis, and he was different. That's right, guys. And he had a back brace that he wore. His name was Josh Goldberg, and we call him Turtle Nerdle. And the reason why we called him, I know, is there a puppy in here? Okay, so the reason why we called him Turtle Nerdle was because we pushed him down into the hot Texas dust during recess, and then were amused to watch him get up. And as he did, we'd be like, Turtle Nerdle, right? And I'm losing you. Okay, so here's the deal. So that happened. You know, we watch him writhe, like it was at the beginning of, what's it called? Grapes of Wrath, that book. All right, so the turtle. All right, so anyway. Yes, so many people are going to beat me up after this story. Here's the deal. So they would check you every year, right, for scoliosis, right? They would check you. The nurse would be like, next, next. That's right, yeah, looking good. Then they got to me and I was like, holy shit, you know, and because my back was all like janky and messed up. And at the time, like gangster rap had come on the scene, so I was starting to lean a little bit. So I was like, this is natural. The music that I'm listening to is making my back do this. And the nurse is like, you need to go to the doctor. So I go to the doctor, and my dad's a doctor, so he knew this guy, Alexei Shelkoff, who's like a thoracic surgeon. He was like the best, you know what I mean? So he like sends me to the thoracic surgeon, and Alexei says, this is something you should know about Alexei Shelkoff. He was like, He reminded me of Matthew McConaughey, he had like dick energy, like Matthew McConaughey. You know how Matthew McConaughey's always like presenting his dick, and he's like, "This is my dick, this is it, all right." Like he was also a cool doctor who like wore Crocs. He was the first person I knew who wore Crocs, and he also would curse. So he'd be like, this is what he said. He's like, your back's all fucked up, all right. We're going to fix your back. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Chief. Don't worry about it. And I was like, wow, this guy, he's amazing. He's going over your lumbar and your thoracic are all janky, but we're going to straighten that right out. So I was really excited about that. So anyway, he's like, you've got scoliosis. You're going to have to wear a back brace. And then I was like, I'm going to be the black turtle. This is terrible. I'm going to be like Josh. No, right? And then he was like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Got you covered. You're going to wear a night brace. So nobody at school is going to know that you have scoliosis. And I was like, thank you, doctor. Right? So I wore a night brace, and there were like no more sleepovers after that. I was like, no, you are not spending the night at my house, and I'm not spending the night at anybody's house. So I wore the back brace, and during the daytime, I remember this so well. The first day I had the back brace, right? Kids pushed Josh over again at the playground. It was terrible. And they're like, turtle, nerdle, right? And then I wait for it to dissipate. I go over, I pick Josh up, right? And he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I have scoliosis too. And he's like, are you serious? And I push him back down. I was like, if you tell anybody, I'll fucking kill you. So, Jesus, guys, it's fine. Everybody brought their feelings to Poisson Rouge. Anyway, so I had to go in for surgery, right? I had the back brace didn't work, and I had to go for surgery. And Alexei Shelkoff, you should also know this about him. He liked the booger sugar. He was a cocaine addict. He enjoyed that. This is Texas, right? So he's like, yeah, whatever, no consequences. I'm a rock and roll doctor. So which is just ridiculous. He had his own center and everything. He had his own like thoracic surgery center, and he was like, this is what we're gonna do, little man. This is what we're gonna do. I double booked your surgery. This is what he says. I double booked it with this other lady, but don't worry about it. I'll do them at the same time. And I was like, that's a bad idea. I can tell you that at 13. That is a bad idea. But he just does it. He just does it. He's like, I got this, right? And so he does a double like back surgery, and then apparently, okay, so this is what happens. He wakes me up during the surgery, and I was like, what's going on? And he's like, your lung collapsed. Your lung collapsed. But you're all right. You're all right. And I was like, why did you wake me up for that? Why am I awake right now? So my lungs collapsed, right? So he puts me back under. I was like, okay. And whatever. I'm tripping through fields with my grandpa or something like that. And then I wake up again, and this is what happens. This is what happens. So he says, I learned that the lady on the other table has died. Dead. No, she's dead. She's quite dead now, guys. Dead, right? So that double surgery didn't go well. So Lexi fucks up and he does that. And so then I have to kind of like learn to like walk again and all this stuff. It's pretty terrible. If you've ever, does anybody have had scoliosis at all? Yes. Yeah. Okay. No, sir. Lucky you. Okay. By the way, it was Texas in the 90s, and the nurse described this to me. This is the way she said it. I don't know if your nurse said it to you, but she's like, that's a lady's disease, by the way. You got a lady's disease. It's like, all right. Okay, I don't know how I'm supposed to take that news, but thank you. So I had to learn to walk again, all this stuff. It was a pretty crazy summer. I remember, like, people took pity on me. I got a copy of The Firm. That was pretty great. And then my brother bought me a House of Pain hat, which I did not need at all. And but he was trying to say I love you, you know what I mean? And finally, on the day, I remember this so well, I hadn't peed. I remember I hadn't peed or anything. And the nurse was like, we're going to have to take out your colostomy bag. I was like, what's a colostomy bag? That's pretty serious, you know? And she's like, well, how do you think you didn't pee? You've had a catheter up your pee hole this whole time, sucking the pee out of your body, right? So I was like, oh, my God. And this at the exact moment she says that, guess who comes to visit me? Josh Goldberg. Swear to God, comes with his mom with flowers. And the nurse is like, this is a bad time. I'm going to take out his colostomy bag. And like Josh goes, this is the best time. This is the best time. And she's like, are you okay with this? Him staying in the room? And I was like, ah. And she took that as a yes. And she's like, all right. And then Josh watched as I had this pulled out of me to his delight. And just his smile got broader and broader with every inch that came out. Now, that is, so Josh got his way in the end, guys, okay? I got my just desserts. Jesus Christ. Everybody's like, we want justice. All right. Years go by, and here's what happened. I was on a plane, and my friend was behind me on the plane, and he was like, hey, man, I got to tell you something. Now, by the way, I had a rod put in my back. This is what happens when you have scoliosis. You have a rod put in your back. You have your vertebrae fused. Your lung collapses. And a lady dies beside you. But this is what happened. That's what happened. And by the rod just was in there, just stuck in there, and just holding my back in place. And my friend was like, you got to see this. This is a Pokemon Go or something. And so I turned around, and then I heard this snap in my spine, and I was like, that's not good, right? That's not good. But this is, whatever. I was like young. I didn't care. And the plane, we're getting off the plane, and we're in L.A., and I start to feel a pain, like an appendicitis almost, right? And I was like, what's happening to me? Then I have to go to a table read because I've just been cast in an MTV show, guys, right? Jealous. and I had to do a table read for a show called I Just Want My Pants Back, which, yeah, some of you, calm down. All right, so I'm on a better show now. All right, so we had to do a table read for 2 hours, or I had to be funny for 2 hours, and I'm starting to pour sweat, like I'm sweating like a fucking runaway slave, just pouring sweat, and it was terrible, and I was like, I gotta be funny, just sweat is dripping onto the pages of the script, and at one point I asked this girl who's supposed to be my girlfriend on the show, she was terrible, I was like, if I had appendicitis, what are the symptoms? She's like, you would have passed out by now, and I was like, oh, okay, and so we get back into the town car that takes us to our hotel. I'm like, these are my last moments. This is pretty great. You know what I mean? I was like, this is it. I was very euphoric. I got to my hotel. This is what I did. I didn't call 911. I just downed a bottle of Pepto-Bismol and passed out, right? So long story short, get back to New York. I'm like, I got to go to the doctor. So I go to the doctor. I love this. This is like black church. People are just emoting. He's like, do Jesus, tell it. Amen. Don't hurt him. Okay. I like this place. All right. So anyway, I go to the doctor. The doctor's very cool. He's not Alexei Shelkov cool, but he goes, this is not what you want to. We take X-rays. This is not what you want to hear from your doctor, right? He looks at the chart. He looks at me. He looks at the chart. He looks at me. He goes, what is that? It's up for I'm answering the questions now? You're asking me? Like, I don't know, what is, I was like, that is the goddamn brace that used to be in my spine. And it traveled all the way down. That's right, feel all the feels in this story. We're taking you high, we're taking you low, right here into what's called the iliac crest. Iliac crest, yeah, a lot of people are looking at this guy's face. All right, so it's like having a slug in your hip bone, right? And he was like, I was like, can you get that out of me? And he's like, sure, I can get that out of you. I was like, what do you have to do? He's like, I cut you open, I take your femur out, and I scoop that bad boy out. And I was like, that's okay, that's all right. So I've still got it. Security is weird. But you know what? In the end, I think we know that Josh Goldberg fucking won. Am I right? Anyway, you guys have been a great crowd. It's in me right now, guys. Good night.
Yum's the word.